Hello, welcome. Today I want to talk about letting go and forgiveness. And specifically, I want to share a personal journey, a personal experience, one of the experiences around letting go and forgiveness. So sit back, relax, and receive with an open heart what may resonate with you and align with you, so that you may cleanse within as well. Over the last couple of months, I've been going through a profound cleanse, purging, and I'm sure you've experienced it too. Everybody around me has, that I've talked to, clients and friends and family. And while it may be really painful at times to face the things that we've held on to for such a long time, it is also such a liberating experience to let go of the things that held us captive, that no longer needs to be carried, and that there's no space for anymore because we've outgrown that. But in order to create space for a newness, for the new version of who we are becoming, we have to let go. And the experience I want to share with you is around a relationship. And this relationship was at first very good, as they all are. And then the cracks started to show after a while. But I was so invested in setting this relationship up the way I wanted it to be. At that time, in that season of my life, I was a control freak deluxe. And around the control and the need for control, I'll share in another video. And that experience around, I could bend and break and mold this relationship into what I wanted it to be, not acknowledging what I am bringing to the relationship and what he's bringing to the relationship, and how that forms the togetherness for us. So the more I try to control and hold on and shape, the more the cracks deepened. And 5 years later, I walked away. I could not face it any longer. And the betrayal, the disinterest, the lack of emotional safety, etc., was all the components that led me to walk away. It was one of the toughest decisions I've had to make, but it was one of the most important decisions I've had to make, learning when it's time to walk away. And I want to pause there for a little bit. Earlier on in the relationship, maybe a year or so in, I realized, maybe even sooner, I realized things were different. The way he looked at me was different. But I ignored that intuitive hit. I ignored that knowing it's time to walk away, because I really wanted it so bad. I've fallen in love so deeply, what I thought was love, and I ignored it. And fast forward 20 odd years later, the relationship has come up again. Not the relationship in its entirety, but my role in this relationship. So over these past 20 years, I've been thinking about, whenever I thought about the relationship or spoke about it, or somebody asked me, or had contact with him, or saw him, or anything that reminded me, I would tap into my well of anger and resentment that I had built up towards him, and the failure that he caused, that I believed he had caused. And it was just a slow time release toxin that was poisoning me, my body, my emotions, my soul. It was just not good. And I allowed myself a few months ago, when this came up again, not due to contact or anything, it just came up in my awareness, and I sat with it. I sat with the ugliness, with the pain, with the betrayal, with the hurt. I just sat with it, not in it, feeling it and being on the pity pot and shame me and poor me, not from that perspective, just from knowing and experiencing that. And it hit me like a bomb. The question popped into my head: Simone, was he the only one wrong in this relationship? And I'm paraphrasing here, because in Afrikaans, languages we speak in South Africa, we talk about the vark and die verhaal, the bad one, the antagonist in the story. And the gist of the question is, was he the only antagonist? And that was a realization, and that was an admission and a witnessing of myself, of how ready I am to let this go, of acknowledging my antagonistic role in this relationship. And that brought up a well of stuff. The need for control, and then the questions I asked around that. Why did I need to control everything? And again, I'll talk about the control in another video. And how I wanted at all costs this relationship to work. And that it was for me, and that it was for us, and that we are good together, and that blah, blah, blah. And just sitting with this. And over a few days, I sat with it. And there were tears, there was snot, there was anger, there was resentment. But it was just witnessing this. Because as I witness it, I release it. And through this process of sitting with it, acknowledging, and being in integrity with myself, I started doing the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I worked through each of those components. I'm sorry. Not just I'm sorry to him, but I'm sorry to myself. Please forgive me. Not just him to forgive me, but me to forgive myself and to forgive him. And thank you. The gratitude of knowing and experiencing the depth of that process, of experiencing the witnessing from both ends. And I love you. Not from the romantic kind of love, but just that love of understanding and acceptance, and acknowledging that we played a role in each other's lives, and we have both learned from this experience, and giving ourselves that space to acknowledge that. And I went through each of these steps over a few days, and it was difficult, even just forgive me, because that means that I have to acknowledge that I've done wrong, and if I've harmed or hurt someone, or that I did not act in the best interest of myself or the other. And this is how it's played out for me. And it'll play out for each of us, different scenarios, different people, in different ways. But I wanted to share how this experience was for me about letting go. And as I worked with this, I started feeling somatic dislodgements in my body. My shoulders, specifically my right shoulder, and even in my abdomen, I would feel tightness. And as I worked through this, I started feeling relief. I started feeling tension dissolving, because remember, I've held onto this anger and resentment for 20 odd years. It's a long time, and that settles in your body. And so going through this process, I have reached a place where when I think about the relationship, or when I think about him, or when I see something that reminds me of that time, I have no anger. I have no resentment anymore. I see it for the journey I went through to learn what my blind spots are, to learn that I can be loved by someone, to learn that if I am not fully aware of myself, my behavior, my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions, I can very quickly descend into the shadow side of what was actually transpiring in my relationship. And to learn that when we are in relationship with the other, we bring the fullness of who we are to that relationship, and the other hopefully brings the fullness of who they are to the relationship, and then you create something beautiful from that. But you have to allow each other to be themselves, not be the versions of themselves that you hope and expect them to be. And that's what I was doing. So this process has taught me and has highlighted these lessons for me and brought me to a place where I harbor no anger or resentment. And when I became aware of this, when I started realizing, I don't think horrible thoughts when I think of him or am reminded of him in some way, I asked myself, why? Why did I have that anger? What was it giving me? What was the purpose of that anger and that resentment? And then I realized that I was weaponizing it. I was giving myself the power, which I had lost because I was not able to control it anymore. But every time I thought of him, or any time there was contact, I would weaponize that anger. Where's this? Or you did that, or pay me back this, and because it gave me a sense of control, and it gave me a sense of power. And if I didn't, then I would appear or believe that I appear to be weak, but I needed to appear to be strong. And that perverted perception of that masculine aspect of ourselves leads us to believe that we need to be in control, and we need to show that we are in power and that we have power. But that doesn't mean that we need to be angry or have resentment or show this kind of behavior to others. It can mean strong, but I can be soft and gentle as well and still be strong. So that is one of the stories that I have been working on letting go. And what I've also realized is it wasn't so much about him. It was all about me, about letting it go, because this process was not shared with him. I never mentioned it. I don't have contact with him, so I don't talk about this, but I never mentioned it to him. It was a process that I had gone on with myself. And if ever our paths should cross again, I know it's going to be different. There's no animosity, there's no anger, there's no resentment. And it doesn't have to be about the other person, because there wasn't any physical harm done or anything like that. And if it's meant for our paths to cross where this is discussed, then it will be. So you see, letting go and forgiveness is not something we do. It's allowing ourselves to create that sanctuary within ourselves, to explore and to clear the space of what we no longer need to carry. And when we allow ourselves that grace and that softness to sit with it, to release it, to shed it, to create a different energy around the story. And I'm not saying sugarcoat it. We have to go through the stuff. Let it go. The longer I held on to the what if and the what he did and what he didn't do and what all of that, the less I could see the gifts. And if I had to jot down on a piece of paper the gifts and the no gifts or the not gifts, the gifts outweigh this. That's what we're here to do, to learn. And if we apply ourselves in this space of growth and expanded experience, then we are open to see the growth that we go through on a day-to-day basis. But we have to allow ourselves. And through this process over these past few years of engaging in those things that I've let go, this relationship being one of them, I've been sharing with friends, close friends, and my sister, and now you. I've realized that, and I've been asked, well, why don't you do something like a workshop or something to help others? And so I've created a workshop, and I've called it the Soft Release, a workshop for forgiveness, letting go, and acceptance. And it is a half-day workshop that I'm hosting in Cape Town, out in Durbanville, and it is a gentle workshop where there's no performance and no need to prove and no need to be on your best behavior. It is just to witness, to be witnessed with what you are letting go, acknowledging in your time, in your space, in your regulated way, what you want to let go of. And that can be things that can be relationships, it can be how you've seen yourself, the views you've had of yourself, the beliefs, the whatever. It is not just about relationships, and it is a gentle, sacred space being held for you to come and explore that. And I invite you to join me, and I'll post a link in the description below of where you can find more information if you are in the Cape Town area. And I am looking at hosting online sessions, or continuing to host online sessions with the same theme of forgiveness and letting go, and creating that newness within ourselves to invite that special essence back into who we are, to invite that sacred essence of who we are back into our lives. It's always there, but for it to rise gently and to learn and experience and expand together and on our own, but knowing that we don't have to go through this alone. Life is not a journey for individual travel. It's a shared journey, and some of it we do go through alone, but we share and we hold each other in love, in compassion, and I want to see you succeed. I want to see you rise, but softly. It doesn't have to be big bang. So until next time, let it go, accept it, and forgive yourself. It's the best thing you can do. Until next time, with much love and appreciation for you. Bye bye now.